This is Snake. Colonel, can you hear me?
Hey everybody, welcome back. My name's Isaiah and I am just winging it. Today we're going to be making a sculpt based off of a video game character, and that character is Solid Snake. I'm sure you've seen him before. He likes to hide in cardboard boxes, and he was created by this guy, Hideo Kojima. I'm sure I'm saying that name with 100% accuracy, but he created the game Metal Gear and the series, and this is the picture we are basing our sculpture off today. So grab yourself some clay, grab your tinfoil, and go find a piece of that circle wood. Like I said before, it's everywhere. You just gotta know where to look. For this sculpture, I'm going to be making a bust. So I'm going to grab Old Faithful here and start building up my clay and whatnot on top of that. Let's open up the tinfoil, and you got to watch out because sometimes the tinfoil bites back. And it's not too bad. But excuse me while I go sulk in the corner. Alright, now that you got the tinfoil box opened up, go ahead and start wrangling that tinfoil. You got to be careful with it because sometimes it can get pretty wily. Anyway, for the start of the base, I'm just pretty much wrapping the tinfoil around this, and, well, that's it. You just pile on the tinfoil and then beat the devil out of it. A little Bob Ross there for you. And there you go! Magic! There's your basic form and shape out of tinfoil, and now you can start throwing clay on top of it. So in case you were curious, this is David Hayter. He does the voice of Solid Snake, amongst other characters like King Shark on that Flash show, and Captain America, and oddly enough, a Mudakin in that Oddworld New and Tasty game. This is Cam Clark. He voiced Liquid Snake, and other characters like Leonardo, Rocksteady, Charles Xavier, and Flounder. But not in the first one. He was actually Flounder in Little Mermaid 2 with a redesign that is, yeah, I don't know. Alright, so now I'll give you a little bit of like backstory or history of the Metal Gear Solid series. So Metal Gear Solid, it's a 1998 action-adventure stealth video game that was developed and published by Konami for the PlayStation. It was directed and produced and written by Hideo Kojima, and it follows the MSX2 video games Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 Solid Snake, on which Kojima also worked. Alright, so like during the game you control Solid Snake. He's a soldier who infiltrates a nuclear weapons facility to neutralize the terrorist threat from FoxHound, a renegade special forces unit, and every member has like their own like unique little thing that they have about them, like Revolver Ocelot. Like he's got his revolvers and he's able to like ricochet his bullets off of walls and whatnot. And there's Vulcan Raven, who's like this huge monster of a man. I think he's like a shaman. And he has like this M61 Vulcan cannon. It was like from an F-16. Sniper Wolf, she's just an amazing sniper. Psycho Manus, he's a psychic with psychokinesis expert. And then there's like Decoy Octopus. He's a master of disguise. He has really awesome masks. It's unfortunate, but you don't get much of him in the game, but whatever. Now, if you're as old as I am, then you probably are more familiar with the original, I guess, North American Metal Gear series from the Nintendo, where you had Metal Gear, and then there was like Metal Gear 2, Snake's Revenge or something. I don't know, I guess it was okay, but not a lot of people talk about that, and we're not going to talk about that. So the Nintendo games actually did have, or supposed to have, like a sneaking mechanism to them, but it really wasn't executed well on those games. And I think they really did a great job with the Metal Gear Solid game for the PlayStation, because as Snake, you know, you're playing him and you're trying to navigate through this weapons facility without being detected by the enemies. So when you move into like an enemy's field of vision, he sets off an alert mode that draws all the enemies to that area. And then you have to try to like hide or evade from them and wait essentially for the counter to like reach zero, and then the game goes back into like just regular infiltration mode where the enemies are no longer suspicious, which is I guess kind of weird because it's like I just saw you and now you're gone and I guess I don't care anymore, but hey, it's a video game, you got to give it a little leeway. So my first experience with Metal Gear Solid was, I mean, if you're old enough to remember PlayStation Magazine, like demo discs, That's where I first played it, and immediately, like, the game hooked me, and it was just an awesome experience. And I remember I played it just over and over, and I just couldn't wait to get my hands on an actual copy of the game. And I think I kept trying to borrow it from a friend, but he played it on a daily basis, so it took a while before I actually got my shot at it. But I don't know, it was amazing. So if you can find a copy, I would definitely pick it up. So the game does have actually some pretty awesome cutscenes, and one of the ones that like I'll have to highlight here that is most memorable for me is when you get into one of the hallways and you hear like gunfire going off, and then when you go in, you see all these dead guards. And you're just like, what the hell just happened here? And it turns out that it was actually this robotic ninja that just murdered everyone in the hallway, and it's awesome, you know. But they really one upped that when they put it onto the GameCube. It was like Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes, and it had better graphics, and it looked awesome, and that whole sequence was great. I don't know. I'm sure you could find it on YouTube. Just like Gray Fox or Robot Ninja in the hallway scene. Just check it out. Now, speaking of cutscenes, when you're talking about Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, Kojima kind of well, he went all out with the cutscenes in the second one, and honestly, there's some things about that game that I don't really care for. It was just the cutscenes they do kind of drag on a little bit too long, and I wanted to play as Snake, and they kind of get you in the first half, like the first hour and a half of playing the game as Snake, and then the next part you switch over to this character called Raiden. It's where they introduce Raiden, and it just kind of bummed me out. I was just like, I don't want to play as Raiden. I want to play as Snake. But unfortunately, you have to play the rest of the game as Raiden. And I think the story behind that, from what I've read, was Kojima asked like a group of girls, was like, hey, would you want to play as this guy or this guy? And they all chose to play as Raiden because I guess he was more attractive, and they didn't want to play as an old man. So he went with Raiden. I mean, okay, hey, you know, you got to give, you know, your audience what they want, I guess. But I don't know, man. I want Snake. All right, so we're going to start making his infamous bandana. And I'm going to shut up for a minute because I'm sure you're sick of hearing me talk, and I'll just throw on some music. So there you go.
Infinite ammo.
So yeah, This is where I kind of ruined this sculpt. I'm not a great painter. It's very hard for me to blend paints, especially paints with like such a contrast of like red and black. Um, yeah, it doesn't look great. It looks pretty bad. Um, Part of the game, you're in like Alaska, so I figured, oh, I'll put some snow on the base. It doesn't look like snow at all.
No, that is not Solid Snake.
Uh, so yeah, I just kind of repainted it because it looked awful. I don't know.
No, sir, I don't like it.
And from there, I repainted it again. I figured I would just do it a nice black, but this paint was awful. It needed like multiple coats on it, and it just, yeah, don't buy that crap. So I figured I'd just paint it black and then just kind of lightly dust it again with some white primer. And I'm not really sure what to do with it. I kind of like it this way, but I don't know. What do you think I should do? Well, time for the close-up. Wait, I have an idea. Okay, now it's time for the close-up.
Metal Gear. It can't be.
Well, thanks for stopping by, and remember, keep winging it.